If nobody talks about you, then you are nobody. Then you are nobody. Remember, child, everybody get their problem for head.
How do you raise your consciousness? This is something that people are always concerned with because we all want to vibrate higher. We want to get closer to God. We want to uh, be in communication, regular communication with our ancestors, and we want to um, have a better opportunity to interact with spirit. And you can't do that if you're dense, if you're stuck in your physical body, if you're heavy and weighed down by whatever is weighing you down. There's so many different things that stop us from being our light bodies, that stop us from elevating and evolving beyond our flesh. And so some of these things all of these things that I'm going to give you today will help you vibrate higher, will help you raise your consciousness and make it easier for you to communicate with spirit. Okay. And when we are in communication with spirit, when we communicate better with spirit and more regularly with spirit, then we also have a better chance of fulfilling our purpose because we hear those messages and we receive that guidance from spirit. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to want to do to raise your consciousness is understand that all is love or a lack thereof. What does that mean? That means that God is love, period. Okay. And so if God, our creator, Olodumare, the creator of all there is love, then everything coming from God is love. Okay. But we also know that for everything that exists, there must also be a counterpart, like yin and yang, like fire and water, etc. Okay. And so the opposite or the counterpart of love is fear. People would say hate. Oh, hate is the opposite of love. But actually, hate is just an expression of fear. Every emotion that we experience is either love or fear. Those are the only two things that exist, especially in the way humans express them. And actually, if you look at animals, it's the same thing. um, Animals are either getting along. Okay, you can look at squirrels, you can look at the animals in the forest, in the jungle. They're either getting along and eating their food and minding their own business, or they're fighting because they fear for their safety. Okay. And so humans are no different. We are animals, in fact, right? So the only emotions that we are capable of expressing, the only emotions that exist are love and fear. Everything is a version of that. So when you think about anger, anger is a lack of love or the fear of losing control, the fear that someone is impeding on your ability to express yourself fully or to make your own choices or to do what you want to do. Those types of things are what make us angry. The fear of not being in absolute control of our situations. Okay. You take another emotion like jealousy. Jealousy is a lack of love because we fear that God's love is being more productive for another person, that we fear that they are receiving more than we are, that they're enjoying their life more than we are, that they are benefiting from more abundance than we are. It's a lack of love or fear. Okay. And you can actually examine every human emotion and break it down to either love or fear. And so, one of the first things that you can do to raise your consciousness is to understand that all is love. Love is the fiber that holds the universe together. Love is the creative force that created you, me, the birds, and the ocean. Okay, love is God, and the consciousness that we share, our shared consciousness as human beings, is the expression of God's love. Because remember, we are created not only in the image and likeness of God, but we are little pieces of God, little expressions of God. We are collectively God. Okay. And so the consciousness that we share, the ability that we have to create and to support and to heal one another and to elevate one another, that is actually the God in us. Okay. And so understanding that all is love is one of the very first ways that you can raise your consciousness. Okay. The second thing that you can do to raise your consciousness is to always have an attitude of gratitude. All right. You want to affirm the good things that you've received in your life. You want to be conscious of the ways that you have been blessed. Because when you recognize how you have been blessed, you can also examine, well, how did I receive this blessing? We know that God has grace and mercy, right? We know that the Orisa walk with us and they bless us and the ancestors intervene on our behalf and that they are present in our lives. But many of our blessings are are earned through our hard work. And by hard work, I'm talking about our spiritual work, like cleaning ourselves up, clearing our mind, clearing our heart, things of that nature. So if you are aware of your blessings, you can sometimes retrace your steps and understand how you received that blessing, how you became in alignment with that blessing. And this is something that we need to do regularly. You know, if, for example, I go to the river every morning for a certain number of days. And I pray for an opportunity to present itself for me to expand my business, for example. And I do that. And that's my earnest prayer. And I go to the river and I'm doing this every day for 12 days, 13 days, 16 days. And then on the 16th day, that's Ifa's number. On the 16th day, all of a sudden I receive a call. Um, and now I have this new wonderful business opportunity. Not only am I going to be grateful that that happened, but I'm going to retrace my steps and understand it was the energy that I put forth, and not just, okay, I put some energy towards it, but what exactly did I do? That's why it's important for you guys to have a grimoire. That's why it's important for you guys to have a regular practice, because you need to be able to understand what's working for you. You need to be able to record it because you need to be able to repeat it. Okay.
Sure.
So understanding that gratitude doesn't just happen, okay, is going to be very important. And not only understanding um, that gratitude doesn't just happen, it's an exercise. It's something that we have to work towards. It's something that you have to do. Okay, gratitude is actually not very natural for human beings. Most of the time we're ungrateful as fuck. We wake up every morning and we just expect to. We just expect to wake up and start breathing. We just expect to not get hit by a bus. We just expect to just keep on living. We just, it's what we expect, but you need to be grateful because there are a lot of people that didn't wake up this morning. I remember my grandmother, who was very, very religious, as most of our grandmothers probably were. She used to say all the time, I could have been dead, sleeping in my grave, but the Lord, but the Lord, but the Lord. She would say that every day. We all could have been dead, sleeping in our graves, but the Lord. Okay. So gratitude is something that we need to practice and that we need to express regularly. And this will help raise your consciousness. You need to affirm the good things that you've received. And you also need to acknowledge the role that others play in the good things that you experience. Because after all, we all have a purpose. And newsflash, your purpose on this earth is only to help somebody else. None of our purposes revolve around us being rich or sexy or 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 really even happy. Although if you follow your path and you do those things that you are intended to do, happiness is just part of your birthright. And I'm going to get into that actually later. But our purposes as human beings is to interact with each other, to support each other in fulfilling our purposes. And that is what we came here to do. And so other people absolutely play a part in your destiny. It's really easy for us to say, oh, I don't fuck with people. I keep my circle small. I don't mess with folks. I, do my own thing. And I mean, that's fine. And that's probably good um, from a social standpoint. But if you're not out here interacting, if you're not sharing your gifts with your fellow man, if you're not making yourself useful to your culture and your community, then you may as well not be here. And if you're not acknowledging the parts, and so if you're not doing that, I guarantee you're coming back and you're going to do it all over again. And your situation may not be as great as it is this time around, because your purpose is to help other people fulfill their purpose. And we all have a unique set of gifts and a unique set of talents and a unique set of blessings that are allocated for us as individuals that will allow us to assist our fellow man. And if you're not acknowledging that for yourself, and then also acknowledging how other people are influencing your walk and your experience, you're not practicing gratitude. And so that's one area of of your existence. That's one area of your experience that's going to fall short, and you will not experience the greatest levels of joy. You will not experience the greatest levels of success, and you won't express or exude God's love in the fullest way that you can, because gratitude is an absolute part of that. Okay. So raising your consciousness is definitely going to be tied to gratitude. The next thing that you can do is give. All right. Give until you have nothing left. And what I mean by that, and those of you, Manjashola, you're here, you can attest to this. When you are a priestess and you work within your community and you serve within your community, you give everything that you have, even unintentionally. I may not wake up this morning planning to to give so much of my time, so much of my energy, so much of the knowledge that I've acquired, that all I can do is lay down at the end of the day. But that usually happens. That ends up happening, because it is physically draining sometimes to serve. It's
Sure.
physically draining sometimes to tap in to that ancestral memory that's locked somewhere deep in the 90% of our brains that we don't use, that's locked in our DNA somewhere. It's also emotionally taxing to hear about and respond to the traumas that our brothers and sisters are experiencing in this life, due to bad decisions, due to circumstances, due to all kinds of whatever. Okay, but you still must give, you must serve, because remember, all of our purposes are tied to how we assist our fellow man. And so that's your actual purpose, okay, is to do that. And so you must give. Being stingy and greedy resonates with poverty and lack, okay. And so if that is what you're putting out in the universe, if you're stingy, oh no, I ain't got enough to share, I can't give her that, I'm not giving nobody nothing, they got to get it out the mud like I did. These are the types of things that we say that are commonly, um, promoted within our culture. Well, if you are stingy, if you don't have enough to give and you truly believe that, you will never have enough. You're attracting what it is that you're saying, how it is that you are presenting yourself to the world and to the culture. And so if you don't have enough to share, you'll never have enough. You can't have something and want it at the same time. Y'all do understand that, right?
Sure.
Wanting something and needing something is in direct opposition to having it. Okay. So that's why gratitude is important, because if you want to be blessed with more, then you have to understand that you already have a lot.
Sure.
Like our mothers used to say, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't. You got to decide. You got to give that cake away. You got to cut that cake into slices and start passing it out. Here, have some cake. I have plenty. That's how you end up receiving more. In fact, the very thing you want is what you have to give away. If you want more money, you need to be generous. Okay. So, those of you who can't make a love offering, that's why you can't buy candles. All right. Those of you who don't have $5 or $6 to donate to this platform where you receive this information, that's why you're struggling financially. That's why you don't have what you need, because you're stingy, because you have a poverty mind state. What those things that you want, you have to give away. If you want to receive love, you have to be loving. You can't be in your house and be a frigid bitch, mad at men, can't hate niggas, and then wonder why you going to sleep at night by yourself. You need to be loving. You have to give those things that you want to receive. If you want to receive respect, you want your children to respect you, start talking to your children with respect. You understand what I'm saying? You must give away those things that you want to receive. So be generous. A closed fist, there was an experiment done, and I actually was looking for it for this talk, but I couldn't find it. But I remember in psychology, my psychology class when I was in college, that there was an experiment done with these monkeys, right? And they had these glass cookie jars that were just filled with treats. Okay, let's just call them cookies, but they were some kind of treat that monkeys like. And different monkeys did different things. You know, some of the monkeys were intelligent enough to reach in and eat the treats one at a time. Some of the monkeys would dump the cookies out onto the table or the bed or whatever and eat the cookies that way. But there were a few monkeys that would reach their hand into the cookie jar and grab as many cookies as they can, and then they wouldn't be able to pull their hand out because it was their fist, their hand was full of cookies. So now they have all these cookies in their hand, but they can't actually enjoy them. Thank you very much. The Harry Harlow experiment. I was 18 years old when I encountered this information, but I always remembered it because I was like, man, people are like that. So you can either have all these cookies in your hand and never actually experience them, never enjoy them, never be able to share them. Or you can take your cookies one at a time and enjoy your blessings as they come rather than trying to hoard and act as if you'll never receive another blessing. Because really, when we are stingy, it's also a lack of gratitude. We're also being ungrateful. We're also showing a lack of faith. We don't think we're going to get anything else. We think that this is the last whatever it is that we'll ever receive. And for some of us, because because of that very frame of mind, it will be. You're blocking your blessings when you're stingy. Okay. So you need to give. Gratitude is definitely one of the ways to raise your consciousness. The next thing that we need to do, and these are not in the order in which we should practice them. This is just a an exhaustive list of how to raise your consciousness. So I don't want you to think that number one is this, number two is that, you know, this is just numbered this way. You need to apply them in the way spirit leads you. They're all equally important. Okay. So number four is going to be to meditate. Y'all know this already, especially if you've had an ancestral life path reading with me or Manja Shola or anyone of the Black Spectrum Network priest. You know that meditation is an absolute assignment that you receive from your ancestors. And the reason is because it allows you to, it puts you in position to receive the messages that the ancestors and the spirits have for you. You need to be able to sit still and to receive, to download the messages from the heavens. One of the things, people have a hard time with meditation. Um, because we often think that we have to have an empty mind. Oh, I can't stop thinking about stuff when I meditate. When I sit down, I can't, my mind won't stop. It's not necessary for you to have an empty mind. An empty mind is useless. You need to have an open mind when you meditate. When you sit down and meditate, yes, you want to quiet your mind, you want to quiet your thoughts, but your mind needs to be open to receive, not necessarily empty. In fact, when you meditate, you want to meditate mindfully. Okay, so it's a good time, it's a good thing to have something in mind when you meditate, to say, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to meditate on the aspects of Obatala that I want to see or apply in my life and my character. Or I'm going to meditate about the experience of my ancestors. I want them to show me their experience regarding a particular thing, regarding the use of herbs. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to meditate on um, those things that are keeping me from fulfilling my purpose. Okay, so meditate mindfully, you guys. Don't think that you just have to sit there and, empty mind, don't think about anything. That's actually impossible to do. And it's not really that productive. You want to meditate mindfully. You want to be aware of what your thoughts are if you're going to be thinking, right? And you want to be aware of your breathing. You want to be aware of the things and the sensations that you're feeling in your body. A lot of times when you sit still and you meditate, you'll realize that you're having pain in your body. You'll realize that something feels off. You may feel something in your abdomen. You may feel something in your heart, in your back. You need to be mindful of those things. So when you meditate, I want you to meditate mindfully. Don't focus on having an empty mind, but rather an open mind, so that you're open to receive information from your own body and information from spirit. And one of the things spirit is telling me to tell you guys right now, we get so concerned with trying to talk to spirit, with trying to hear from these external sources, that we forget that our body is an antenna. Our body is a communication device. You need to be present in your body before you can talk to spirit. That's what we came here to do, is to have a physical experience. Okay, so before you can talk to the ancestors, before you can receive messages from Oshun, you need to know what's going on in your body. You need to deal with your chakra, which I'm going to get to later, but you need to know what's happening within yourself. This is your antenna. The Orisha are only energetic points within your body. The Orisha actually reside in you. So if you think that you actually have to go to the river to interact with Oshun, baby, you're not there yet. If you think that you have to actually climb a mountain to interact with Obatala, no. I need you to sit your ass down and be still and be quiet and listen, because Obatala is in here. Obatala is right here. Ogun is right here. Eshu is right here. You are the altar. Y'all want to erect altars for all of the deity, for this Orisha and that Orisha. You are the altar, but you don't know that because you don't sit down and be still and let the Orishas show you who they are and where they are and the parts of your life and your body that they govern. Okay, so that's why meditation is so important. If you don't meditate every day, you will never vibrate as high as you can. And meditation is not something that you have to put the kids outside and light incense and dim the lights and put on, a yellow dress and sit Indian style with finger symbols. You don't have to do all of that. Just sit the fuck down and be quiet. Be quiet and breathe. Start there. Meditation is very important. Number 5, forgive, even if it kills you. Okay. You must forgive. And the reason for that is that regret and resentment are useless emotions. They're useless. They serve you in no way because they're rooted in the past. Regret and resentment are rooted in the past, and you're not going that way. Stop looking back. That's not the direction that you're headed. Yes, we need to acknowledge where we came from so that we can be prepared for where we're going, but bitch, let it go. Let it go. You can't be holding on to the fact that your mama was mean to you when you were 12 years old. She did the best that she could. She ain't nothing but a woman. We all fall short. Do a better job with your kids and move on. Move on. Now, I know that's easier said than done, and some traumas stick with us longer than others. And I'm not trying to dismiss anyone's experience, but I'm telling you that if you are constantly reliving and replaying those traumas in your mind, you're not going to grow and progress, period. It's impossible. You can't go backwards and forwards at the same time. You can't do it. So you have to pick one. Are we going to move forward? Are we going to grow and elevate and expand? Or are we going to stay down here in the sadness and the pain? Is that where you want to live? Do you want to live in the sadness and the pain? Or do you want to grow beyond it? You have to decide, and nobody can do it for you. And so you can do all the spiritual work you want to in the world. You can take pilgrimages to Yoruba lands. You can go to Haiti. You can get your head washed. You can get baptized in the River Jordan. You can go be vegan. You can wear white every day. You can do all of these things. And if you're still mad at your mama from when you were 8 years old and she worked all the time, you're not going to grow. Okay? You have to let go of those things that are holding you back on an emotional and spiritual level. And also, you need to understand that the things that we experience, we actually chose. And that's hard to understand. That is hard to understand. That's hard to believe. But in the Yoruba tradition, we know that we chose our conditions. And the reason, and I don't want to get into this because there's actually enough about this to be its own talk, but we chose the conditions that we experience in this life because the reward is going to be so much greater in the spiritual world when we return. Because remember, this is just a marketplace. This being this experience or reality that we're in right now. We come to earth to experience what we have collectively created as creator gods, right? We came here to experience this world that we created, and we came here to experience it in different ways, which is why we continue to reincarnate and we continue to have these experiences. And so, understanding that we signed up for this literally, we chose our heads, we chose our conditions. Understanding that should empower you because you should know that you came here to experience these things so that you could grow and evolve from them and not have to do it again.
Sure.
Does that make sense? So resentment is not it's useless. It's a waste of time. Also, just a little FYI, regret leads to depression. Okay. It leads to chronic body pain, which is why I said you need to be still, you need to meditate, you need to pay attention to your body, let your body speak to you. You can feel a blockage in your chakra if you sit still, if you're mindful, and if you're in tune with your body. And so regret and resentment actually cause blockages, usually in the heart. People literally die of broken hearts, heart problems, heart trouble, congestive heart failure. What's your heart? What's the congestion? What is that congestion? Emotion, resentment, pain, regret, right? Black women die at an alarming rate from breast cancer. And breast cancer is related to love, to a mother's love, the lack thereof, disappointments that we feel from our children, disappointments that we have in regards to our mothers, ancestral ancestral disappointments and things of that nature. All of this stuff shows up in your body. Everything that is physical began in the spiritual. The spiritual world is the real world, the unseen. There's more that we don't see than we do. Okay. And so, my main point is that resentment and regret do you no favors. They settle in your body and cause dis-ease, discomfort. They settle in your mind and cause disorganization, dysfunction. Let it go, whatever it is. And if you're not sure what it is, then meditate and figure it out.
Sure.
The next thing you can do, this is number 6, is consume living foods. Now, I'm not a food Nazi. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you must be vegan, but I'm going to tell you that if you eat cupcakes and potato chips and pork skins, that you're not vibrating as high as you possibly could. Okay. We all have to pick our poison. We all have vices, but you need to live by the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the time, you need to try to do what's best for your body. You need to try to do what's best for yourself. And 20% of the time, you're going to fall short. And that's just how it is. Okay. Um, so you want to consume living foods because the ashe of that life force is going to be transferred to you. Okay. Anything that ain't growing is dead. All right. So if you're eating a box of Cheez-Its, baby, that's is dead. There's very little, and we know this. We know that there's very little nutritional value to a Cheez-It. Okay. But if you're eating cucumber salad, with fresh tomatoes and garlic and, you know, um, parsley and onions, and you put an apple cider vinegar on it that's got the mother in it and some olive oil, healthy fat, that's much more nutritious. That's much better for us. Okay, we know all of these things. So try to eat living foods whenever possible, because when you put life into your body, that's what you receive. Okay. When you put life into your body, that's what you receive. And we want to have long lives. And so I don't need to talk a lot about this one because y'all know the benefit of eating living foods, of eating raw foods, of eating plants. Okay. And so especially now in the summertime, it's not hard to do. You can eat a peach, you can eat watermelon, you can eat all of these wonderful, delicious, delectable fruits that God has prepared for us in this season. This is one of the easiest times to indulge in living foods, and I suggest that you do that. And also be careful with your fruits in particular, because now they're growing so many things in the greenhouses, and now so many things are GMO or laboratory created. Make sure your fruit has seeds in it. That's the definition of a fruit. Okay, the definition of a fruit is that the seeds are inside of it, okay? Versus a tree that just drops seeds, on the ground. The fruit contains the seed in order for it to be a fruit. So do not buy seedless watermelons. Do not buy seedless grapes. They have been fucked with. They are not healthy for you, okay? So keep that in mind as well. You also want to be careful what you consume with all of your senses. Be careful and mindful of what you're listening to, the type of music that you're listening to. Be careful and mindful of the type of conversations that you're having. If you're standing around the water cooler at work gossiping about your coworkers and wondering, why you're not progressing, that could have something to do with it. Be careful of the conversations that you participate in. If you got messy ass friends, your life is going to be a mess, period. Okay. Be careful of how you allow people to treat you. Be careful of abusive touch. Be careful of abusive language that people use with you. Demand respect. Demand to be treated like the little piece of God that you are. All right. Be careful what you consume, what you receive, what you accept. The next thing, you want to surround yourself with beauty, period. Okay. You want to surround yourself with beautiful things. Your home should be beautiful. Every environment that you spend any amount of time in should be clean and comfortable and worthy. What is going on? Who gone? I'm doing O'Shea. Sorry, y'all. Every environment that you are a part of should be beautiful. You should wear beautiful clothes, things that you love. Your home should be decorated in a fashion that you absolutely adore, because after all, we came here to enjoy and to experience the beauty of what we created. And cleanliness is next to godliness and all that good stuff. Okay. And there are certain Orisha and Loa that absolutely require this, that won't even come to an environment if it's not beautiful and luxurious. Okay. So do your own research on that, or get in mentorship and you learn more about it. But just surround yourself with beauty. Okay. Beautiful people, beautiful sounds, beautiful smells, beauty. That's what we came here to do, is to enjoy. The next thing that you need to understand is that abundance is your birthright. And that kind of ties in with the whole beauty thing. All right. So abundance is your birthright. Y'all are very familiar probably with that verse in the Bible. It's John 14:2. And it says, "In my father's house there are many mansions. Were it not so, I would have told you." Right? So in my father's house, there are many mansions. This talks about abundance, the expanse of the kingdom of God, all of the things that have been prepared and created for us. Abundance is your birthright, period. None of us came here to suffer. We will suffer because there are conditions that create suffering, and some of us chose to experience that during some phases of our life. But no one was created to suffer from the day they draw breath until the day that they stop. And some of our suffering, the majority of our suffering, is due to decisions that we make. But abundance, the joy of having and experiencing things on a physical level, right? That's physical things, opulence and beauty, but also abundance of conditions that create happiness and joy for us. You're supposed to have an abundance of love in your life, in your family, in your relationships with your friends, in your romantic relationships with your mate. You're supposed to enjoy an abundance of beautiful things. Abundance is your birthright. Understand that. And really, that's a self esteem issue too, to not know that you're supposed to live like a queen, like a pampered princess. You're supposed to. And part of the reason we don't understand that is because of the vile conditions that we were subject to, during slavery and Jim Crow, and even up until now. you know Black people, a lot of Black people live in absolute squalor, live in disgusting conditions all over the world, but even here in the United States. And this absolutely goes against how we were created and who we were created to be and how we are intended to live. Abundance is your birthright. You need to know that. You're supposed to have the best of everything. You deserve the best of everything. Stop buying bullshit for yourself. Save your money and get what you actually need and what you deserve. You deserve it. You came here to have it. Stop buying cheap shit and save your money and buy the best. Why? So that you can experience it and enjoy it, but two, so you have something to leave your children. Stop buying a bunch of costume jewelry just because it's cute. Save your money and buy gold. Buy things that you can hand down. My grandchildren will have this. You understand what I'm saying? Think about these things. Let everything that you spend your money on be an investment. Let it be the best because that is what you deserve. It's what you deserve. Okay? Abundance is your birthright. Opulence is your birthright. Luxury is what you deserve. You are God in the flesh. You deserve nothing but the best, period. If nobody's ever told you that, I'm telling you that right now. You deserve the best of everything. The next thing you want to do is walk barefoot whenever possible outside. Okay. This is called grounding. Some people call it earthing. You want to walk barefoot on the ground. Let your feet touch soil and grass. There's so many reasons to do this. You guys have probably heard of the ionic foot bath. It's a detoxification service that you are able to get in some spas and metaphysical spas and things like that, where you soak your feet and then there's an electric current that's put in the water that will actually pull heavy metals and toxins and ions out of your body. And you can actually see all of this stuff in the bottom of the foot bath when you do it. Walking barefoot is a natural way of doing that. Y'all know that the earth's core, Ogunye, is
Abunye.
iron.
Ashe.
Okay. You know that that it's a magnet and that it's a magnet. Okay. I don't want to make this like a fourth grade earth science class. So when you walk on the ground, you're actually able to have those negative ions and those heavy metals and things like that get pulled from your body through your feet. So that's one reason to do it. The other reason to do it is because it reconnects you with nature. We spend so much time inside, we spend so much time on the computer, we spend so much time doing everything but enjoying nature. Okay. So in addition to just walking barefoot, I'm going to challenge you to spend more time outside. About 5 years ago, when I was doing a meditation, the ancestors told me that I needed to let the sun hit the back of my neck for 30 minutes every day. I still don't know exactly what type of gland or I mean, I know the portals that are associated with the back of the neck, that's Eshu, right? But I still don't know exactly why, but I just trust and believe. And so you know what I did? I renovated my the front of my house, had a bigger porch installed, got me two big beautiful rocking chairs, and I sit on my porch for at least 30 minutes a day if I don't do anything else. Most of the time I hike or walk to the river. I spend a lot of time outside when the weather permits. And so you need to do the same thing. You need to be in touch with nature, understanding that the Orisha are forces of nature. Okay, so if you're scared of bugs and you spend all your time in the air conditioning and in the house, you're not going to vibrate as high as you possibly could, and your consciousness is not going to expand or elevate as well as it could. Okay, So you want to spend some time in nature, walking barefoot, period. You also want to immerse yourself in natural waters whenever possible, as often as possible. And this is still similar to grounding, right? Water is the source of life. Water itself is a spirit. Water has intelligence. These are all things that you can research and verify. Water literally is a being. It's an entity. We already know that. Y'all know it's Oshun, right? But water behaves like an intelligent entity because it is. And this entity has the intelligence to remove what you don't need and deposit what you do, to cleanse and restore and revitalize. So get in some water, natural water whenever you can. I mean, the pool is okay because I just love water. I'm a water baby. I have a pool at my house. I get in the pool whenever I can, but I also go to the ocean a couple of times a year at least, usually more than that. I love to travel, but I get my ass in the water. Okay. If you live near a river, I go to the river almost every morning and I put my feet in the water. I don't necessarily wade out and, swim in the river, but I stand in the water. I touch the water. I allow the water to wash over me. These are things that you guys need to do regularly to connect, especially if you're a child of Oshun. If you're a child of Oshun and you don't get your ass in some water, you better. Okay. Um, Number 10, no, that was number 10. Number 11, you want to eliminate fluoride and known toxins from your diet and from your environment. I mean, why wouldn't you? Fluoride is a big one, though. Okay. We were all taught and bamboozled to think that we need to use fluoride to make our teeth strong. And fluoride actually calcifies the pineal gland. Fluoride has been linked to delayed brain function in children. Fluoride has been proven to create skeletal weakness and a whole bunch of other bullshit. Okay. And if you don't believe me, just Google it. All right. Fluoride is terrible. And most municipal water sources, okay, your tap water is going to have fluoride in it. They are dumbing people down. They do not want your third eye to come online. They want to calcify your pineal gland. They want to keep you a slave, deaf, dumb, and blind. Fluoride is bad. Fluoride is the devil. Okay. Get you a water filtration system for your house. Get you some charcoal toothpaste or some tooth powder from India. And there are several companies that actually make it here. But the original ones with all the great herbs and everything come from India. Y'all can Google all of this stuff. Fluoride is bad. Stop using Crest and Colgate. It is not doing you any favors. Okay. And other known toxins. Plastic. You shouldn't be eating out of plastic. You definitely shouldn't be putting plastic in the microwave. You shouldn't be using the microwave. Okay. But these are all things that, spirit will show you, the ancestors will guide you. Ask and you will receive this information. But avoid things that are toxic. Okay. And fluoride is a really big one because it's related to the pineal gland, which is responsible for um, a lot of the spiritual activity and the spiritual gifts being able to come online and flourish. Okay. Number 12, you want to limit your screen time and pornography consumption.
Uh-oh.
No shame. Okay. This is not about judgment. Do what you do, do whatever you do. Okay. But let's start with screen time. Screen time And there's so many studies, particularly for children, and I'm guilty of it too. I have teenage boys, for God's sakes. All they want to do is play the game. You take away their laptop, they grab their phone. Okay, take away the phone, and then they got the smart TV. They can still, these Negroes can find a way to play a game on any device. Okay, but I have to limit it. I have to be conscious and aware of it because it impacts the way their brains develop. This is not natural. Even what we're doing right now, yes, we're using it for our good. We're turning it into something that's beneficial, but be aware how much screen time you engage in, and particularly your children. Be aware of it, limit it. And I'm going to let you do your own research why that's important, but it's very important. Limit your screen time. And pornography, there was a study done. Maybe somebody has this study. Y'all be on it. If you do, just drop it in the chat so everybody can read it. But there is a phenomenon happening in Japan right now, and China, in Asia, where technology just reigns supreme. People are not having babies. And not only are they not having babies, they're not having sex because of pornography. Because the young men are so um, caught up in these virtual sexual experiences that the physical experiences that they have with women fall short. So you have young men in their 20s reporting erectile dysfunction. They aren't able to actually, you know, um, get an erection so that they can engage in sexual activity. They're reporting a lack of pleasure and really a lack of concern when it comes to being with other people. So,
Association.
huh?
Disassociation.
Exactly. So it ruins our ability to interact. And sex is something that's very, very important. It's very important spiritually to be able to connect to another person in that way, for a multitude of reasons. And that's a whole nother class by itself. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. Limit your exposure and your consumption of pornography. Also, spirit wants me to tell you guys that there are spirits that dwell in those types of environments. There are spirits that dwell on those sites. um be mindful. Okay. And number 13, you want to work with crystals. Okay, you want to work with crystals. This is natural medicine, natural energy medicine. All right, you want to actually work with crystals. Don't just buy them so that you can sit them on your coffee table, or so that you can create um an altar and take pictures of it for Instagram. You want to actually work with crystals. When you buy a new crystal, you want to touch it. You want to meditate with it. You want to allow the crystal to tell you what it can do, and why it's important for you to have it, and what you need it for. Work with your crystals, okay? Research your crystals. Crystals work because they have a natural intelligence. The Yoruba have an understanding that there is intelligence in all things, even inanimate objects. There's an intelligence. This crystal was created to do a particular thing. This is clear quartz. It amplifies. So it can amplify the intentions and the medicine that I put in it, and be constantly broadcasting that. Or it can amplify what I sit it next to. It can amplify what I put it into. It has a job to do, and it knows what its job is, and it does it continuously and without fail. These are rocks. They are old as the earth itself. That's why I always giggle when you guys talk about cleansing your crystals. How you gonna clean it? It's old as fuck. There's no, what are you gonna do to it? It doesn't need you to clean it. Sitting it outside in the moonlight to cleanse it. It's been in the moonlight since the world was created. What are you talking about? Y'all need to stop listening to them white people. Anyway, crystals. Work with your crystals, okay? Um, every crystal has its own vibration or energetic footprint. They are made to do a particular thing. All right. And crystals basically heal. And this is not a crystals class, although we will be doing one. Crystals basically heal by removing whatever exists in excess or adding whatever is lacking. Okay. And that's how they work. And they know, like I said, they know their job and they know what to do. And you need to know what each crystal is capable of and how to use them. All right. And then the bonus, my final point, is for you to mind your chakras and your own motherfucking business. Okay. Mind your chakras and your own motherfucking business. And that is how you raise your consciousness. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope this was helpful.
If nobody talks about you, then you are nobody. Then you are nobody.